Anyway, we were taken back to SOIS headquarters and put into custody. I guess they thought they had to be some kind of connection between us being kidnapped and the terrorist group they were investigating. But they must not have found anything, because after a few days of questioning, they let us go. We all went home and returned to our lives. But things didn't go back to the way they'd been. My mum got real worried about me and my brother, since we'd gotten kidnapped twice now. So she hired bodyguards for us. Oh, I haven't told you about my brother, have I? He's super awesome for one. Snake! And he was in both of the last two Nonary games too. So anyway, we'd been grabbed twice. But the people behind the two Nonary games were totally different. That didn't matter to my mum though, so after that all these huge men in black suits followed me and my brother everywhere. It was awful. We were always being watched. People would look at us funny because we were being followed around by a bunch of creepy looking guys. I couldn't stand it. Just when I'd thought I'd finally be free, all that was waiting for me was another kind of prison. The only time I was really happy was when I was hanging out with my brother. So we were talking it over one day and we decided to leave. Like, run away. So we did it. So we did. After that, we lived on our own. I worked in a cafe and he composed music. He plays the harp and he started writing this kind of new agey music. It got kind of popular, so we didn't have to worry too much about surviving. Sometimes he'd play at little venues like coffee houses and stuff, and his fans would show up and listen to him play and cry. Or some of them would meet on their own and recite stuff from the book he'd written and play his songs. He wrote a book? Nice. I know that sounds kind of like weird and culty, but they just do that stuff on their own, okay? My brother doesn't have anything to do with it. Anyway, we did that for a while, and then one day Alice showed up. I need your help, she told us. We need people who can do what you can do. So we went to the location she gave us, and it turned out to be the headquarters of SOIS, where they'd taken us after the second Nonary game. They put us in a room with about a dozen or so other people who were all about the same age as us. A bunch of them looked familiar too. It only took a moment to realise how we knew each other. They were the kids from the first Nonary game. We were all excited to see each other again, and we were hugging and shaking hands and stuff. And then Alice walked in. The whole room went quiet. She walked up to the podium and looked around the room, making eye contact with each one of us. Right, now a terrorist organization is preparing for a major attack. They plan to trigger a viral pandemic. If they succeed, they will strike a massive blow against all of humanity, not just one country. It's possible that we, as a species, will die out completely. We are doing our best to prevent this, but we need your help. You are what we call espers. You have the ability to access the morphogenetic field. We need that. I'm guessing you don't know what any of that is, but basically we can do this thing that's kind of like telepathy. I mean, it isn't really telepathy, but that's probably the closest thing, okay? This is more information than Alice gave us. So this is kind of leading me to believe that the religion around the Myrmidons is behind Radical 6, are the ones that created and released Radical 6. Espers can resonate their consciousness with another person through this thing called the morphogenetic field. The purpose of the first Nonary game was to research that ability. So they kidnapped kids who had the potential to do it and threw them into the game. Alice had gathered up all the kids from that experiment. Well, I mean, it had been 9 years since it happened, so we weren't really kids anymore. Anyway, everybody she'd brought in was an Esper. That included me and my brother, of course. I bet you think I'm just making all this up, huh? I don't blame you. It is pretty crazy. I mean, I was even starting to forget I could do that stuff. So when I heard Alice's story, I was like, screw that. I was trying to move on with my life, and now some shady government creeps wanted me to use some weird ability I had for them? No way. I wasn't even sure I could do it anymore. Some of the others felt differently though, and they told Alice they'd do it. It was a job after all, and most people wouldn't turn down a salary like that. Oh, right, I forgot to tell you. She told us how much they'd pay us if we helped. It was a lot, more wealth than you can imagine. But I was still totally against doing it. My brother told me he'd go along with whatever I decided, so I decided we were leaving. A couple days passed, and then Alice showed up at our apartment. She didn't waste time. The people behind the first Nonary game might have been part of the terrorist organisation Alice and SOIS were after. Wasn't that, she asked, something that I might want to know more about? It turns out it was. Turns out the people who ran the first Nonary game was a part of the organisation that was a part of the terrorist organisation. I forget the name of them, but it's the religion around the Myrmidons. That got me curious. My brother too. But the clincher was what Seven said to us. He was one of the guys that got abducted with us for the second Nonary game. She called him on her phone right then and there and handed it to us. You guys are the only people who can do this. We don't know where Junpei is. He's gone off to travel the world looking for Akane. I haven't been able to get a hold of him. Please, just do me a favour and help Alice out. Wasn't Seven the one that was turned out to be Zero in the second game? Using the morphogenetic field to use me to communicate with Akane in the past to get her to survive. And Akane was Seven's sister. So who were the terrorist organisation that supposedly ran the second game that they were after? Junpei equals like Seven, another participant from the second Nonary game. Akane, one of the people behind the second Nonary game. Seven was a Japanese policeman. Oh no, Seven wasn't the one, it was Santa that was behind the second Nonary game. That's the one. Seven was a Japanese policeman, which was probably how Alice got in touch with him. Anyway, that did it. My brother and I agreed to join the SOIS. For the next couple months, all we did was train. Half of the time it was general knowledge and technical skills an SOAS agent needed, and the other half was learning to strengthen our Esper abilities. They'd actually known about Espers for quite a while and had a lot of techniques that helped us get better and stronger. After several months of hard work, we were finally ready for the first field missions. Mine was an infiltration. My brother stayed at the base so I could relay information back through him. I was supposed to sneak into the research facility, posing as one of their workers, and then use a morphogenetic field to transmit what I found back to my brother. But everything went wrong. This is where she got captured and Alice's dad was tortured to death. It was a trap. The whole research facility was fake and I got captured. Alice had to come and rescue me. I'd been sending information about the inside of the facility to my brother, and Alice used that information to come and find me. As soon as she got there, she picked me up and carried me out. Not quite as soon, because she saw her dad there and that all happened. I was relieved and happy to be alive and free, but I also felt ashamed and miserable. While she was carrying me back out, I started to cry. She was just so cool, and I wasn't. I wanted to be just like her. So from that day onward, I did everything I could to be more like Alice. Our infiltration ended in failure, but we did manage to get something useful. In fact, we were able to figure out where their headquarters was, because a message that Alice's dad wrote on his arm. The directors decided that December 25th, 2028 would be the day we would strike. This time, I promised myself we wouldn't screw it up. I was finally going to get some answers about something that had been with me for most of my life. But then, on December 22nd, 3 days before the raid, Alice and I were attacked by people in gas masks while we were going over our plans. And when you woke up, you were in the warehouse.
Yeah.
All of that talking seemed to have tired Clover out. She sighed and her long hair swayed as she moved. Hey, I've got a few questions.
What are they?
Well, first off, your, powers, I guess. I'm guessing you can't use them right now?
Yeah, I'm not really sure why.
Hey there, Origami. So what happened with Snake? Yeah. She hasn't really said. From what Alice said earlier, we didn't even know Snake was hired as well. At this point, I can only assume Snake was fine. Probably went to look for Clover afterwards, after she was kidnapped, but who knows what's happened.
I've been sending my brother messages ever since I woke up, but...
No response.
Yeah. If there was another Esper here, they could make me stronger, but that's just wishful thinking.
I'm guessing so much time has passed that either the connection got lost over time or something happened to Snake. Not sure.
Wait.
What?
Well, if there's someone else who's stronger than me, then they kind of absorb my powers. Maybe... No, never mind. That's probably not it.
Right. Whatever. I have some other questions, so... Moving on. I think I understand what Alice was talking about now. They were trying to spread that virus, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so who are they?
Well, I can't tell you that.
What? Why not? You told me all that other stuff, but this is too much.
Well, Alice would be mad at me.
She'd probably be mad at you if she found out you said this. I already told you I wouldn't tell her.
But
Fine. Let me rephrase. When are they going to do it?
well, if we knew that, we wouldn't have gone to all that trouble.
So you don't know.
No, all we know is soon.
But that could mean just about anything.
Yeah. It could be next week or next month or even next year. Or it could have happened already.
Wait, you mean they might have already released the virus?
Wouldn't that make the most sense?
If the virus that they were releasing was Radical 6, yep.
Like, how about this room? Or that newspaper article? And the 3 people who were put in cold sleep.
Are you saying you, me, and Alice were frozen, and the pandemic happened while we were on ice? Wait, no, that doesn't make sense. Nobody else had heard of Radical 6 either.
Maybe they're lying.
Really? All 6 of them?
Well, if Kay really does have memory loss, then it's only 5.
Yeah.
Quark is out too.
So you're saying Tamiuji, Dio, Fire, and Luna are all lying? Why is Quark out? I guess they are all a little suspicious.
Right?
I was thinking Quark would know about it if his note in the other ending was right. Because that made it sound like he was living in a post-apocalyptic type of world. They needed to salvage and repair stuff to survive and pay bills. They didn't have TV as what we have. Hey Spud, you've missed quite a bit in a way. We got a huge... So... last stream we ended in this box. This ending didn't really find out much. Who was it that opened the door? I can't remember who opened the door there, but they pretty much opened the door and that caused the end. This ending, Quark and Tamiuji also got over 9 points, and they left as well. In this room, we had a recording from Zero Senior telling us the password to deactivate bomb number 1. And we found out the photo Tamiuji had been constantly looking back at and carrying around everywhere with him was Akane Kurashiki from the first game. I am totally puzzled why he's carrying a picture of her around. Just after we left, Quark and Tamiuji went back to the room to grab that photo, and while they were back in the room, Quark wrote us a note of who Tamiuji was and what type of person he was, which was probably 2-3 pages long, and that was explaining pretty much Tamiuji wasn't Quark's actual grandpa, but in fact Tamiuji adopted Quark as a baby. Quark was saying how where he lived, it was very unusual for the kids to have parents. And there was one kid that did actually have a mother and was bullying others and pretty much showing off that he had a mum. Which is odd. Makes it even odder than Tenryuji carrying around a picture of a young teenager. Or a teenager. Not sure how old Akane would be at the time of this game. The only thing that I could think was that Tenryuji and Quark came to this place and participated in this game years after, or many years after, and that Akane's grown old like Tenryuji. But yeah, we don't know what's happened there. And then we've just jumped back to this decision to ally. And no one's got the 9 BP yet. So this is, I'm almost certain, is going to extend. We've just had the story of Alice and Clover from Clover's side of things. And yeah, we didn't really find too much new information out there. And we'll continue. Right? And what's their motive?
For lying?
Not a problem, Spud. So basically, one thing Clover did say that Alice didn't tell us is the terrorist organization that they were after was planning to release a biological weapon in the form of a virus. And they can only assume that, well, we're guessing that that virus is Radical 6.
How would I know?
Then what's the motive for a terrorist organization to start a pandemic?
I heard it was something about purifying the unclean?
Yep, they want to wipe all humans off the earth and populate the earth with clones of left. Purifying the unclean?
Oh. Unclean. 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 Unclean.
What? What are you doing?
Shut up. Just hold on a minute. I'm this close to remembering. Unclean. Clean. Een.
She leapt up, suddenly excited.
Neostigmine.
Neo what?
Did you forget it already?
How did you get to that from unclean?
I'm talking about this stuff.
As she spoke, she pulled something out of her pocket. It was the injection gun, complete with a vial of medication. Oh, right. I remember that. It was in the safe in the treatment center, right?
Yeah.
I didn't have any idea what it was, though. So I gave it to you.
Exactly.
Are you saying you've heard about this neostigmine stuff before?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I just remembered.
You remembered?
My brother told me about that.
Snake.
Neostigmine is a type of cholinesterase inhibitor. That
A what?
means it's a sort of antidote for tubocurarine.
Okay. Sorry, but I still don't get it.
How easy do I have to make it? Ugh. Okay, fine. I'll start at the top, all right? The stuff I've got in here is neostigmine, which counteracts the muscle relaxant tubocurarine. Following me?
Tubocurarine is the muscle relaxant that Zero has put in our wristbands to kill us, essentially. Tuberculin is the poison in our bracelets, right? Not poison, but in this case, basically, yeah.
Right. It's the second thing we get injected with if we're penalized.
Yep.
First is the silver real, which puts you to sleep. 9 minutes later, the tuberculin is injected, numbing your respiratory muscles. I guess you could say it'll really take your breath away.
Oh. I wonder if they could duplicate this stuff with that machine that they duplicated the cure with for Radical 6. So you're saying this neostigmine keeps it from working?
Yes! Oh my god, how many times are you going to make me say it?
So we can just inject ourselves with this if we get penalized.
Yeah! We don't have to die. We're gonna be okay. We can only pull the trigger once, though.
That means we can only use it on one person.
Yeah.
Well, it's still good news. This means one of us can break the rules once. Like, let's see.
The best way to use it would be for sneaking through the number 9 door.
Yep,
If somebody gets 9 points, they can open it, right?
yep.
With this stuff, somebody who doesn't have 9 points could still leave with them. Anyway, I'm gonna go tell Alice.
What? Hey, Clover, wait. Clover! It was too late. Clover was already on the lift and gone. Damn. I was, I think, understandably upset. With no stairs, my only choice was to wait for the lift to come back down. That's pretty much what I'm gathering there, TCC. With this neostigmine, it stops the second injection having an effect on you, so you pretty much just have a bit of a sleep. Oh no. Fire, where did Clover go? Fire, can you hear me? She didn't say anything, just stared at me with her mouth half open. Her eyes seemed slightly glazed and her body was unnaturally stiff. She looks infected. I grabbed her shoulder and shook her gently. Slowly she raised her arm, fingers drooping limply from it. She gestured toward the exit that led away from the warehouse. That way. She went out that door. Fire's only answer was a slow, shallow nod. Yep, she's definitely infected because the Radical 6 slows your brain's processing speed down and essentially slows time around you down. So in this case, Sigma talking to Fire sounds extremely sped up to her, and her reactions are very slowed down to us. Right, got it. Thanks. I headed for the exit, then paused. Yeah, you can't leave Fire like that. You look pretty tired. Get some rest, alright? Sigma, can't you see what's happening? Still no response. There was something odd about her, but catching Clover seemed like more of a priority. Exactly. Fine, did you see where Clover went? I turned back around and jogged out the door, toward the treatment center. I can't even talk fast enough to how fast you would hear it. Huh? This is weird. Where is everybody?